Okay, greetings everyone. I'm back. It's me, Wasta. So today I'm guided to share with you guys as far as listening, becoming more aware of the subtle divine guidances. Subtle. Emphasize on subtle because most of us, really a lot of us, most of us, a lot of us, um, we don't truly know what to pay attention to when it comes to listening, paying attention to divine guidances. A lot of us ask the divine to give us signs, show us signs, right? Give me signs, assist me where to look, where to go, how to do, what to do, how to feel, all these different things that we ask the divine. Before I start going with the flow, I'm gonna try to make this shorter. So, and I don't want to rush either. So, but for us who truly wants to really, I'm gonna use the word tune in and really receive guidance. Truly, we're always receiving guidance. We just have to become fully aware. You know, you know how it's presenting to us, right? How the divine presenting to us. So with that being said, so subtle, right? We're expecting something extravagant or something big. Now mind you, that can happen also, but I'm gonna just pause on that. But subtle messages, divine messages, this could come in forms of songs. We have, songs, lyrics in the songs. And if, post, we're always on social medias. I'm always posting stuff, quotes from different people, from different things, and then through what I'm being channeled and what I've been guided to share through everything that I've been posting, and some stuff that I just, picked that I'm guided to share, right? So post billboards when we're out and about, billboards in anything, right? Movies, shows, anything that we're watching, listening, we're out and about, whatever, right? Pretty much, basically, in anything you place your very awareness, and through observations. This is going back what my previous post, recorded video of myself, um, talking about our very awareness, how we have to be mindful where we place our very awareness, right? So in anything you place your awareness through observing. So we cannot be aware of something if we're not truly observing, right? And I kind of explained that last time, how we just observe. So so that's for right now. So as you can see, this big quote, this is quotes from someone. It's very it still is, it definitely was very profound for me at that moment years ago, when it was, pivotal pivotal time, profound time of my journey, my own soul's journey, when I became fully aware of this quote. I'm gonna try to some other time, because I'm trying to compress something very profound as far as my journeys, right? We all have our own stories, our own experiences, stuff that we have experienced, that's profound. It don't matter. And I'm trying to compress it in a few minutes. So I'm gonna try my best to just, but basically at that moment in time, it was profound for me, because this quote became my my guideposts during this period of time when basically I left a very um, abusive relationship, toxic, right? And I made a conscious decision to leave that very relationship for my own sake, my own, for my kids' sake, and for my own overall well-being for all of us, right? Not just for me, for sure for my kids. Why I did it, to finally leave that environment, that space of not so good. And by making that decision, I was willing to leave everything, gave up everything. When I say give up everything, I left everything I owned. I just took a couple of bags, pillows, blankets, and my dog at that time, and my kids, of course, my kids, and got myself a van, waited for my income tax to come, bought a used van, and finally decided to leave. It was hard for me to leave because, I have this beliefs about myself at that time, and I was stuck on that beliefs about myself, how I conditioned myself to be, which was, it was obvious that I have to really get out of that comfort zone of, thinking, knowing who I was then, and I really make the decision. That's pretty much how I've been throughout my journey, making a hard decision to where, we're getting pushed all the time. Not push, encourage to really step in fully and get out of your comfort zone to really, so we can be in our path where we're supposed to be, right? A lot of us know, no, no, this is all I know. I'm gonna stay here. But going back to this quote, leaving that relationship, moving, and then having to live in a, homeless shelter within, I'm just compressing everything, within a couple of days, I'm, mind you, having to leave a very vital relationship, and then having to also, not knowing what we're gonna be confronted with, as far as our life. We just left and drove back here to San Antonio, and a couple days later, 2 or 3 days later, no, not even 2 or 3 days, 2 days later, the next day, um, lived in a homeless shelter. Now we're going to talk about next time, some other times as far as my whole mental, emotional state, my whole inner state at that time. But I clicked the very next day, or the couple days later, we were already living at the shelter and walking in the hallway at the shelter, and they have this little bulletin board, in the hallway, small little piece of paper, and this is what it says. Yesterday, I dared to struggle. Today, I dare to win. When I became aware and observed this very quotes, every fiber of my being felt an activation. Every time we feel something, our body, just jumps out of, something just jump, at us, to us. It's profound. That's the activations. Those are messages, and I've always been in tune to those kind of messages. But when I saw this and I read this, just walking, holding my little kids, my babies at that time, 2, 4 years old, walking in the hallway, and I just glanced at this. It was remembrance, and that became my anchor to continue, and to the day-to-day, and to make sure my whole overall well-being, my inner state, is intact no matter what I was experiencing. There's this remembrance and reminder, because basically what I did was I dared. I dared to struggle. So when I say dare to struggle, I did dare to leave that relationship, left everything, belongings, things that, that my mindset was, this is my home. I made this my home. I took care of this home while the other person was just however they are. But me, as at that moment, and I'm always that person, that soul, right? But there's this kind of, not prideful, but I have this, that was my sacred space. I made it home, sweet home for us, right? For my kids. And then here I am having to give all of those up. And I had to. I had no other choice. And it was time. It was time. And it wasn't about the other person anymore. I didn't make it about the other person anymore. I finally made it about, it's been my kids, like I said. But at that moment, it was time. It was time. So, and that's basically what it was. I did. I dared to struggle. But then today, I dared to win. It was up to me to either fall into the whole victimhood. Oh, I left a very volatile relationship, very toxic, very this. So now I'm just going to go downhill. No, that was not what I felt at all. It never was. I never did. So, but this, sharing that to say, but this was just, I just glanced it second, but that's all it took from me. This is how my own life's journey when it comes to anything for me. I see everything as divine guidances, right? Not externally, but internally here. There's a knowing, there's a, just a knowing that you don't know how, but you just know that everything's going to be okay. Just follow the breadcrumbs. I say this, the breadcrumbs. If you're only able, we're not going to be able to pay attention for all the guidance if we're always busy doing the same repeated patterns that we do day in and day out. We're not. We're always busy doing things, the same thing day in and day out. We're not going to be able to, receive those, those messages. We're not going to be able to perceive it. We're not going to be able to acknowledge it because we're doing the same thing over and over. This is why I said contemplate, reflect, reflect, and then observe. Pay attention to the conversation. Those very conversations with that person, whatever the conversation, what's the message? The message was in that conversation. Okay? That interactions with a stranger, the very messages in that conversations, the interactions with the stranger, with that person, whoever it may be. Okay? So, that very thing that you are watching, you feel it. A lot of us feel it. When we're watching something, we're listening to something, we feel this now. You just have to be mindful because the ego likes to be validated. A false self likes to be validated, likes to be right, likes to be in control. You have to be able to really pause and really sit with yourself and say, this is how I said, when I do, even then, before I became fully aware of what I am having this direct experience in now as myself as master, I acknowledge it. I say, I get it. Thank you. Even those times where I ignored the messages, even before all the stuff, that decisions, being in relationships, being in situations, that's, being in jobs, being around people, places, things. I've always known that, but we just ignore it. We just dismiss it. But I'm also aware of it. stuff happens, even now, and I'm always going to be that, like, something happened out of my control. We're never in control, but anything, if something happens, and circumstances, situations, and it happens, whatever happens, I just say, okay, okay, I get it, thank you, that's it. And I just trust and let go. Release control of want to know, release control of trying to validate, or you know connect all, analyze things, right? So I'm already at 15 minutes. So basically, so that's that. Pay attention to the subtle guidances, divine guidances. Subtle. Now, it's not always subtle. Now, sometimes it gets very loud to where you have no other choice but to sit with yourself. And I'm talking about situations, circumstances, like it's so profound that you can't do anything but to just surrender. Health crisis that hits you, sideswipe you with, and you're not in control of anything anymore. But sometimes the divine, not sometimes, the divine does, it orchestrate things to get our freaking attention, to finally pay attention to all the messages that they're sending us, giving us, and really just be still. Pause, be still. Be in stillness. Okay? A lot of us, we go out and try to fill ourselves with, with anything to comfort our emotional needs and turbulence and mental needs. So we go out there and look for something to feel temporarily so-called complete, feel good. It's temporarily until next time. Then what? I'm gonna have to do this like 2 parts, 3 parts maybe. But so when we have those kind of situations, especially like health scare and situation that just flip your whole world upside down, to where you have no other choice but to, like, again, like I said, sit with yourself, and you don't have any choice but to call out to God. That's what most of us do, right? We do that. And then what? We blame, we accuse, and then we condemn, and whatever, a divine, why are you doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? You know what I did when those different things, how my mental state, internal state, when all those things were happening to me, not to me, remember, nothing happening to us, it's happening for us and through us. So when circumstances and situations happens that I preferred not to experience or go through, when it became very emotional and very turbulent for me inside, mentally, emotionally, internally, everything, my whole soul, my whole being. You know what I always ask the divine? I don't understand. I don't understand. Why are these happening? Why are these things keeps happening? What is happening? But those are the things that I always ask the divine. I don't understand. And then another thing I always ask, give me strength. Give me strength. Those are the 2 things that, my whole existence, those are the things that, so the whole ebb and flow in life, right? I don't remember or recollect anything that I've asked God, the divine, God, universe, Allah, Krishna, universe, universal mind, one universal consciousness, to call it whatever we call it. We're speaking about the same thing. So, um, those are the things I always ask. I ask. I don't understand. Just give me the strength. Give me strength. And I just go on, keep going, keep going. And I do whatever it takes to always uplift myself no matter what. I uplift myself no matter what. I made this decision to uplift my very being. I do whatever, I listen to and do whatever it takes, watch whatever it takes, do anything to uplift myself. Because guess what? Who's going to uplift you? Who's truly going to be able to uplift you? Ask yourself that. Your friends, families, material things? No, that's temporary. Then what? When you're on your own and your own demise. We are all responsible for our very essence, for our very being. So this is what I have, I have been my own soul's journey. And I see everything as guidance, divine guidance. If we just pay attention and become aware. You don't have to be fully aware, because we'll get there. The more you become aware, the more you observe, the more you're going to be able to really tune in. Okay, I get it. That is the message right there. And then you start following the path, the breadcrumbs, steps, footsteps. You should show me a visual of footsteps in the sand. Yashua. Footsteps. So, to get to where we're supposed to be, we think, where we at in this existence, or, whatever career, your career, where you at. Again, we're all here for so much more than we perceive ourselves to be and do. So, again, these are very, everything's